Well, a week from today, hundreds of employees at Intel in Oregon will be losing their jobs, the company announced today. It's part of a broader restructuring effort first announced last month. That includes laying off 15 to 20% of factory workers. 529 people, mostly engineers and researchers, will be losing their jobs at the Aloha campus, along with the Rondler Acres, Hawthorne Farms, and Intel Jones campuses in Hillsboro. It's the latest hit for Intel workers in Oregon, the state's largest private employer. Last year, they cut around 3,000 jobs, according to the Oregonian. Tech experts say Intel has fallen behind other companies in the semiconductor race, especially as artificial intelligence technology booms. Intel says they're trying to position the company for the future, writing, quote, "We are taking steps to become a leaner, faster, and more efficient company. Removing organizational complexity and empowering our engineers will enable us to better serve the needs of our customers and strengthen our execution." Intel still has around 20,000 employees in Oregon, but the news has many thinking about the ripple effects, not just the 500 workers laid off, but the property taxes they pay, the schools their kids go to, and other businesses in the community who rely on Intel workers. State Senator Janine Salmon, a Democrat who represents Washington County, says this was not unexpected.
State economists warned us of this. They warned of a manufacturing recession. And the problem is that the jobs won't necessarily, when someone loses their job at Intel, they can't just bounce to another job necessarily and be employed. That's the concern, is that it will be difficult, and this just affects everyday lives.
Senator Salmon says she's been in contact with Intel. She says they're still very tied to Oregon, and she's committed to working with Governor Kotek and Intel to make sure the state is supporting the semiconductor and advanced manufacturing industry. But we heard a lot during the legislative session, mostly from Republicans, that Oregon is not friendly to businesses and has too many regulations. Well, today, Oregon businessman Jordan Schnitzer reached out to us to talk about this, saying that the state could be doing more, especially
Lately,
compared
there
to other
has been a
states.
huge wave of mass layoff that has been going on throughout the United States. We're seeing it in every industry. We're seeing it in the tech industry, in the transportation industry, in the health industry, in the fast food industry, in the hospitality industry, and even in the retail industry. Out of all those industries that I just named, the one that surprised me the most is tech. Tech was seen as an industry that is secure, that gives you a job security because it was in high demand. Now we see a lot of tech workers who work in coding, in programming, civil engineering. We've seen a lot of software engineering are getting laid off because some of the tech company are deciding to basically either restructure their operation or they're implementing artificial intelligence. And just recently, Intel just laid off a lot of their employees. Intel has their headquarters in Hillsboro, Oregon. I lived in Oregon for 20 plus years of my life. I went to middle school, high school, and even in college in Oregon because I graduated in Portland State University. I'm a Portland State alumni. So I understand how important and how vital Intel is for the state of Oregon because I actually visited a campus, and it's a beautiful campus. It's a huge campus, and if I'm not mistaken, they employ close to 20,000 people in Oregon. So it plays a pivotal role in how the Oregon economy functions. It's Intel and Nike. Both of those companies, they play a pivotal role in how Oregon economy function because Nike also has a huge campus, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere by Hillsboro or Beaverton, and Intel is in Hillsboro. And they have a lot of people that actually work for them, and they provide tax payment for the state. So the fact that Intel just announced that they're going to be laying off thousands and thousands of people, it's kind of concerning because I know people personally in my life that work for Intel, and they could probably be impacted by this decision. And their department, whichever department that they work in, they can be also impacted by this decision. So when I saw the news announcing that Intel is laying off a lot of people, and especially in Oregon, it kind of got me concerned because I spent a huge portion of my life in Oregon, and especially in Portland, Oregon, which I know pretty well. Seeing that, and I just realized, yes, this layoff is not just having an impact throughout other places, but it's also having an impact throughout the country. And so many people that are close to me will also be impacted by this.
Oregon, for a lot of reasons, is perceived as being not a very friendly business state. And for someone that has real estate in 6 states, Phoenix is booming right now. There are Seattle, Puget Sound area, and so forth. These communities welcome businesses. They attitudinally and verbally put the word out, we want you here. The state's fallen into a malaise, an attitude of being anti-business. Now, that's not the reason I think Intel is cutting back right now. But in their decision as to where they would expand again, I'm not sure Oregon would be top of the list, even though we have more of their operations here than any place in the world. So Oregonians, wake up.
Senator Solomon says next session she wants to work on an economic development strategy, but she thinks there's a lot more going on here than the state's red tape.
This is global. This isn't an Oregon concern. This is a United States and a global concern. We're seeing efforts that are in advancements around semiconductor and advanced manufacturing in other countries that we haven't seen before. When I was on co-chair with Representative, now Congresswoman Janelle Bynum, we often talked about the global leaders in semiconductor and advanced manufacturing. And that was Taiwan, that was South Korea, and it was Oregon. And so this type of nature is very cyclical in that we are seeing, but I think it is deeper. It is more deeply impacted by the global market and concerns around tariffs. That is a real legitimate concern.
Oregon Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici sent us a statement saying, I am deeply disappointed about these layoffs, especially considering the federal investments Congress directed to Intel. It is my sincere hope that the changes Intel is making will reverse the factors that led to layoffs and help them regain their standing. Intel had been awarded nearly $8 billion last year in the CHIPS Act funding by the Biden administration, but they've only received about $2 billion of that. And the Trump administration says
Intel is known for making semiconductor. And lately, there has been a secret battle that's been going on between China and the US over the semiconductor. And the number one manufacturer of high-end semiconductor in the world right now is Taiwan. And if you're paying attention with what's going on with the geopolitics in the world, Taiwan is known as the runaway province of China. And in China perspective, Taiwan is still part of China. And in the Taiwanese perspective, they are their own country. So Taiwan is known for making some high-end semiconductor that's needed for missiles, for military weapon, for satellite, for high-end equipment that we need in the future, especially with things such as electric cars. And if I'm not mistaken, Taiwan probably control close to 60% of the high-end semiconductor in the world. And the company that owns and produces these type of semiconductor is called TSMC. And the second manufacturer and producer of semiconductor in the world, if I'm not mistaken, is South Korea. And the third could probably be China or Intel here in Oregon. Because I remember during the Biden administration, when Joe Biden was in power, he was trying to get the Taiwanese company TSMC to come and install inside the United States, where they can start manufacturing those high-end semiconductor here in American soil. And China basically used their influence to make sure that does not happen, because they understand that those semiconductor is needed for both countries, because China need it and the US need it. So if China were to attack Taiwan, the first thing that they probably will try to take control of is the semiconductor manufacturing from TSMC. And Taiwan could probably just destroy all those semiconductor and the manufacturers. So China will not be able to get access to those high-end semiconductor equipment. So this is the issue that's been going on. And now with President Donald Trump, who's coming in with a different policy than President Joe Biden, he has imposed tariff for many countries in the world, and this probably include even South Korea, China, and in some level even Taiwan. And in retaliation, those countries are also imposing their tariff on every American good. So I will not be surprised if part of the policy that President Trump has introduced, especially with the chip war and with China, is having an impact on how Intel is functioning. So this is a common thing that we will see in the near future, where there will be a secret battle between America and China to take control of the semiconductor, because China also control a lot of the rare minerals that America need to produce missiles, to produce weapons. And if you're following up with everything that's happening in the world, there's a potential war that can happen again between Israel and Iran. And we support Israel. We provide them weapons. We're providing Ukraine with weapons, but we're running out of weapons ourselves. So we need those rare earth minerals to be able to produce some of the weapon that we need. And at the same time, we also need semiconductor for things such as the weapon system, the satellite, and so many high-end things that we need to be able to produce. So I'm not really surprised that Intel is laying off a lot of employees, but I am kind of like, touched by it, because I lived in Oregon for such a long time. And I know people that actually work for Intel, and they're currently working for Intel right now. And this will also have an impact in so many people's life. And this just shows just how much politics has an indirect impact and even direct impact on so many people's life, because of the decision that's probably being made in Washington, D.C. It's having an impact on so many people's life. And Intel probably will take this opportunity to try to implement artificial intelligence into their system. And by doing that, they most likely are going to cut all the entry level and the low level position for a lot of people that are actually just coming into Intel to work for whatever degree or whatever specialization that they have. So this is a very interesting topic. And if you work in the tech industry, or if you work in Intel, or if you know anybody that work in Intel, please leave your comment. Let me know what you think. And if you're new to my channel, please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Until next time.